Ghosts, angels, demons, fairies, vampires, werewolves. All those stories you heard as a kid. All those stories mom and dad said weren't true. For most people, that's all they are. Myth, legend. Occasionally people find there is something out there in the dark. Many years ago, I trained with the late Lou Gentili, one of the best known demonologists in the United States. When he died, he asked I continue his legacy. I've been continuing investigations since his death, but I also wanted to bring back his efforts to educate the public about what's really out there. Join us for a brand new YouTube series, The Paranormal Encyclopedia, with me, your host, Kevin Mears, demonologist and paranormal investigator, while we investigate what really goes bump in the night.
So, before you think this is all about doom and gloom, well, first of all, it is. Second of all, that is not entirely our purpose. We're here to entertain. We're here to tell you. And you're probably wondering who the hell I am. I'm not the demonologist. It's my job to ask questions. It's my job to be the skeptic. I've got some background in history, particularly about witches. But I'm here to hypothetically be your voice. I'm Drew. Welcome to Paranormal Encyclopedia.
So, good evening everyone, and welcome back to the latest episode of the Paranormal Encyclopedia. We're your hosts. I'm Kevin, the demonologist, and
I'm Drew, the skeptic.
Tonight we're going to be talking about a very important topic, one that probably I should have covered a long time ago, which is protection from the paranormal. I'm going to probably focus more on the spirits, and Drew, because he knows it better than I do, will be focusing on the curses. Now, the thing to realize about protection, there's a lot of advice you'll find on the internet, and it's not so much that it's wrong as it's too general.
Or too specific.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to hop up and down on your leg 3 times, pick a flower underneath a full moon to stop a curse. That's not...
Well, it's 6 times on your right leg and under a quarter moon on Friday the 13th, isn't it? Really, most of the ways that you're going to protect yourself, you'll find... So, some of the ways you'll see online. Crosses, holy water, sage, salt, sea salt, pentacles, just about everything you could think of, and at least 20 things on top of it. The reality is, most of these can work, and most of these can get you in a lot of trouble. All at the same time. With protection, there's really 2 concepts you're dealing with. One is actually protecting yourself. The other is provocation. Because anything that's going to protect you is also going to piss the spirit off. So if it only pisses the spirit off and it isn't going to help, you got a little bit of problem. And there isn't a single formula to this, folks. The websites that tell you, smudge your house. Okay, I'm not here to knock smudging, but...
Do you want to define that one?
Why don't you? You're probably going to do a little bit of... basically, it's cleansing a house using sage. Burning it into the rooms. I don't know too much more about it than that. I believe it's Native American?
Yeah, I know it's also been co-opted by some versions of American Wicca, but...
Yeah, I was going to say, neo-pagans borrowed it, New Agers have borrowed it. Mm-hmm. The paranormal community as a whole, regardless of their religious beliefs, have borrowed it. And here's the thing. Smudging can absolutely work. But 1, you should have some idea of what you're doing. And 2, and it's really the critical thing, don't use something because I told you to use it. Don't use something because some website told you to use it. Choose symbols that have a personal, spiritual meaning to you. I'm a Christian. I use a cross. To protect myself, I use a cross. I use the St. Michael's prayer. I would not recommend a Jewish person use a cross. I would not recommend a pagan use a Christian cross. Nor would I use a Star of David or a pentacle necessarily.
If you guys have seen The Mummy, don't be that guy who just pulls up every religious symbol going, maybe, maybe, maybe.
I'll just keep trying until something works. And this is the big problem I have with people who always say, no, smudge the house. You shouldn't do things by rote. Demons and other types of spirits don't like sage, certainly. They don't like crosses, certainly. So yeah, you're going to get a reaction. But whether or not it has a positive effect for you is based on your own beliefs. Those of you out there that practice some kind of magic should probably be getting some kind of idea here, because how important is belief and faith to the practice of magic? And for the Christians out there, read your Bible.
I mean, it could even be as simple as putting salt on your windowsill, something that you think works.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, absolutely. In general, I try and keep it as personalized as possible. Like, for me, crosses, holy water, blessed salt. In general, for example, if you're a Christian, use blessed salt instead of just sea salt. If you're a pagan and that's part of your belief system, certainly use the sea salt. Although in general, it's better if it's actually blessed by a priest or something to that effect, because there's the faith that you have in the symbol, but when it's blessed, there's actually their faith is coming into it too. So that actually does have value. But again, it's a serious mistake to use something just because somebody told you that works. Just like the first advice I give anyone who has a haunted house: get your house blessed. You can do it yourself, but it's better to get somebody who knows what they're doing to do it. And here's why. It's actually really straightforward. 9 times out of 10, if you do it yourself, you're fine, because majority of the time, if you think you have a spirit in your house, you don't. Or if you do, it's a human spirit, which isn't particularly threatening, so you're not going to piss it off. It's that 1 out of 10 times that you have something malevolent in your house. What are you going to do if it goes wrong?
And if you just remove all... Let's assume nothing's there, and that's all in your head. If you don't believe something is going to work, then doing it is only going to make you think that it's worse.
Yeah, absolutely right.
So, I'm not saying that you have to be crazy in order to hear things that go on at night. Everyone does. We fill in voids with whatever.
Not to mention, houses settle. Houses make some weird... any of you lived in an older house know this without me telling you. But most of you, at night when the TVs are off and the lights are out, listen. You'll get knocks and bangs and all sorts of other funky noises that are not paranormal.
Especially if you have your plumbing set wrong. If the water return pipe doesn't actually lead back into your boiler, it will bang like nothing you've ever heard. Yeah.
There's that. There's like the house settling. Wood, it expands and contracts. It's cold right now. That's going to affect things. Your house makes weird noises just because you hear something strange doesn't make it a ghost.
And doing something because someone told you to that you don't think is going to work is going to make you hearing ghost worse.
Yes, absolutely right. I would certainly recommend, just as a general tip, it's not especially if you're part of a religion that has some form of it, and a lot of them do, it's never a bad idea to get your house blessed, even if you don't think there's a problem. House blessings are actually, particularly in the Catholic Church, a lesser ritual of exorcism. So, aside from kicking things out that may be there, it's also a good way to keep things from getting in.
Yeah, that's... it. Back before the ritual of exorcism was fully written, it was much more of how do you kind of feel things out as you're doing it, and the ritual of exorcism for a building was basically everything minus the personal trappings of the person.
Yeah, we'll be getting more into that. We're working on timing, but we should actually be having an exorcist come on to speak with us in the near future. We're looking forward to that. But that covers basically the basics of, like I said, rely on things of your own faith. If Christians use your cross, Jews, I would actually Christians too, for that matter, because the way it works great for both of us. Mezuzahs are a wonderful choice. For those of you who don't know what one is,
Bless you.
Small box with a bit of the Torah inside, and it's a part of the Old Testament. Christians, we believe in the Old Testament too.
Technically, Christianity is a cult of Judaism.
Yeah.
Depending on your definition of cult. But,
Well,
I mean, once it hits a certain couple billion, you tend to kind of go, not so much anymore. But, besides the point.
Well, it's a worthwhile topic that we got into when I did the Robert Snow interview of what the definition of cult is. And the answer is, who do you ask? Because there's a lot of definitions of cult. Mm-hmm. The one I personally prefer, because it's the one that has no negative connotations, is it is a new religion that is different than the current societal norms. Period.
So, I'm trying to think of other pagan ways. For the Norse, it's mostly just live well.
Which is good advice in general.
I've seen too many Asatru and Odinists get caught up in various spiritual practices. You want to live well. You do your job well. That is the primary emphasis. Assuming you keep doing that, stay relatively positive.
And for the record,
should be fine.
In general, yeah, because the sort of life you live affects you spiritually, as well as physically and mentally.
Not to mention the prohibition on magic tends to also help.
This is true.
If you're watching and you're a Satru, there is a prohibition on magic. It's there. Odin breaks the rules because he's Odin, and that's what he does.
And keep in mind, folks, one of Odin's titles is Oathbreaker.
Mm-hmm. If you're an Odinist watching it, well, we'll have a conversation.
I think episode on neo-paganism, history, major branches is probably in order in the near future.
Yeah.
We're probably going to annoy people with that one.
Oh, yeah. People tend not to like to be reminded that they're an ancient religion since 1950.
And I'm sorry, it's true. And it's an important proviso to say to that. There's nothing wrong with being an ancient religion since 1950. Every religion started somewhere.
And it's not just because the practices were started in 1950 doesn't mean that the ideas are wrong.
Yeah. Keep in mind, almost 2,000 years ago, Christianity was a new idea from the 33-ish. Judaism was originally this crazy idea this guy, Moses came up with out in the desert too long.
And this same could be said for Muhammad.
Yeah.
Every religion started somewhere.
And for that matter, going back, every religion fits most definitions of cult at some point in its history. Usually, if nothing else, at the very beginning. Mm-hmm. In fact, most of them even fit the darker definitions of cult, and we're getting off topic again.
Wheelie, wheelie, wheelie.
But it's a worthwhile topic to consider in the future. But why don't you talk about curses?
Paul.
Okay, so curses.
Curses. So, basically, in almost every culture, you've got some kind of evil magic. Whether it be Navajo death magic, voodoo curses, or hoodoo curses.
Yeah.
I caught myself. Or there's even Norse curses.
They're Christian curses using the Bible, in fact.
They are in the Apocrypha. The church approved apocrypha. Like St. Peter strikes people down with black magic, according to some files.
Yeah. And just general magical duels.
Yeah. People be like, you, Christian, I challenge you to a duel. And he's like, God, you got this. And supposedly the guy was struck down with a bolt of lightning to death.
Well, I remember reading a story where Peter and the one magician got into a contest. And the magician took to the air and flew. And Peter was shown through God's grace that the guy was being held aloft by demons. So he prayed, and God took the demons away, and the guy flew like a stone kite.
Yeah, St. Peter, according to these stories, killed more than a couple people doing these kinds of things.
And then the whole episode we're going to have around St. Patrick's Day about Patrick.
I'm not trying to bash on Catholics.
Nor am I.
But some of your saints have a body count. Look it up.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to bash the religion. If you don't believe me, though, look it up. So, how does one deal with it? Within a Christian context, prayer, getting a priest involved, exorcisms, all ways to get rid of curses. Also, if you read the Malleus Maleficarum, the witch's hammer, the first and foremost guy for hunting witches, the one that set off the witch hunts, it specifies that black magic used to get rid of a curse is okay, so long as it doesn't bounce the spell to a new person. If you bounce it back to its original person, that's fine. You haven't actually committed any crimes with your black magic. You're considered a heretic, which you have to renounce your previous, or recant rather is the term they use, your heretical beliefs, and go back to the church. But that was it. That's the only crime you've committed. It was self-defense. You're good to go.
And realistically speaking, from a demonologist's perspective, most of the things that an exorcist will do to break a curse, the curse is rebounding on the person who cast it. And usually, whatever they were sending out, they're getting back worse.
That's a really frequent theme with curses, is if the curse is broken, it bounces. There are ways just to end the curse, but it depends on which set of beliefs you're looking at. And so, let's say you don't have a priest around, or you're pagan. How then do you break a curse? You can ask a power to intercede in your behalf, which is basically just the pagan equivalent of an exorcism. Or you can find the object used to that is used to bind the curse to you. A lot of using witchcraft in the old method, meaning black magic, relies on objects hidden near your home.
Hoodoo as well.
They either need part of you, or they need to hide something where you live. Under your bed, underneath your pillow, on your doorstep, underneath your bedroom window.
Under your porch steps.
Yep. All these different kinds of things where it's hidden right by where you live. Or work. If you own a shop, your shop is an extension of your home, according to a lot of magical beliefs. So, what do? You find the object. According to some people, you can take the object and throw it in running water. I don't recommend that one, because if you look at, say, Norse curses, you have to find it and destroy it. If you put it down running water, it makes it really hard to go find it again.
Yeah.
So, what do? Burn it. Burning it is generally safe. What if it's a rock? Try and burn it anyway. What's the worst that's going to happen? The rock gets hot. It's not going to rebound back.
And you can always drop it in running water or bury it, which is another common suggestion.
Unless it was originally buried.
Yeah.
In which case it has to be dug up.
Yeah.
And usually the act of digging it up is what breaks it.
I will actually give you another bit of lesser known advice, but it's a good trick that's not widely known. So, magic depends heavily on belief. I don't think there's any magicians out there that are disagreeing with me. And if you are, please feel free to comment. But, so, casting a curse, part of the element is your belief in your own ability and the effectiveness of the curse. So you can get if you know who cursed you, whenever you see that person, no matter how much shit is going on in your life, act like you couldn't be having a better day. Act like everything's wonderful. Don't overdo it because you don't want them to catch on, but just generally act like everything's wonderful. Like you're not act like you're not under a curse.
Hello, my baby. Hello.
Exactly. Because if you do that and you can break their faith in what they're doing, that can mess up their magic.
Unless it's a matter of demons summoned.
Even then, because still, there's a degree of faith in their relationship with the demon. And getting the demon's doing this for them for a reason. If they start questioning the demons are all about pride. So any more advice?
That mostly sums it up. I mean, obviously, different belief systems have different ways of dealing with it.
And they all do.
Probably should go over different things that are used.
To make a curse?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Dead animals, that's a good one.
Living animals sometimes, too. Usually, for example, there's certain types of magic where you bury a living animal, and as the animal dies, the person dies.
Usually when you dig it up, it's probably not doing too well.
Yeah.
Things that have stuff carved into it, or written on it. Generally, you'll know when you see it. Yeah. Not gonna post images of, here's how to curse someone.
No. We're not about teaching you how to make things worse for people. In general, a lot of things rely on what they call sympathetic magic, where you use something symbolic. You know, the classic voodoo doll, which, as I talked about in the voodoo episode, is more accurately a puppet from Western European witchcraft that was adapted by hoodoo, not voodoo. But you create a doll that's the image of the person. You then use a part of hair or nail clippings, a part of the person to create a sympathetic link. Mm-hmm. What you do to the doll happens to the person.
And you'll also see things where if someone's trying to cause blindness, they might have a drawing and they might do a wood burning of a person on the wood and drive a nail through the eye. Things like that. That's especially common in, I want to say, African magic with the nails.
Yeah, I believe so.
But you'll see a lot of things like that. If it's runic, it will just be a distorted version of writing out what they want to have happen. Generally, if it doesn't look like it's supposed to be there,
it probably there may be a reason.
If it's unsettling, I just want to get rid of it. That's just not a bad plan in general. If something in your house makes you feel uncomfortable, why is it in your house?
Yeah. It's like the advice I think we went into last in one of the recent episodes. Yeah, if you get an uncomfortable feeling in your attic, don't go in the attic. Don't call the exorcist. Don't go there. There's a lot of simple reasons why you may get a weird feeling in some part of your house that are not paranormal. And if it's only in the one spot, why worry about it? Unless it's a place you actually have to go.
I'd be the guy to investigate.
Yeah.
I'm like guy number 3 to die in a horror movie.
Well, no, that's a different issue. I'm talking about, you get a creepy feeling whenever you go into the basement.
Oh, yeah, I would keep searching until I found out what it was.
Granted.
Like I'm saying, I am that guy.
Sometimes you may not find it. You just get weird vibes from places. And sometimes there may be a spiritual reason for that. I'm not going to speculate. But as my old mentor said, I hate the idea of doing feeling cases. I get a bad feeling. You get a bad feeling for your basement. Take the stuff you need out of your basement and put it somewhere else, and don't go in the basement if you don't have to. It's a real simple solution to the problem. Or be like Drew and be the third guy to die in the horror movie and hunt down and find out, oh wait, yeah, there's a warping in
Oh.
the wood here, and that's why.
Or
whatever.
just, this would look nice with a new coat of paint. You'd be surprised
Yeah.
what a new coat of paint will do for a creepy area.
A little bit of advice: if you are getting your house blessed, before the priest shows up, open boxes, closets, drawers, any kind of container in the house, and then close it after they're done.
Oh, boxes. That's another common curse thing. Boxes and bags full of weird things.
Yeah. A lot of the time, and the truth be told, yeah, it is a viable solution, and there are certainly even Christian exorcists that'll say it's important to find whatever was used. Father Gabriel Moth, the chief exorcist of Rome, talks in his books about the importance of finding the cursed objects. I know other exorcists that say you don't need to. You can perform various rituals, and that'll solve the problem. There's an excellent it's not really going to do a lot of good if you're not Christian, but there's a very good book for Christians called "Blessings or Curses You Can Choose," that goes over the basics of how a Christian can break a curse that doesn't require finding the object.
Wait, it doesn't tell you how to choose your own curse to apply?
Oh, it talks about that too. And what's interesting, and it's an interesting, actually, it's an interesting book to read even if you're not a Christian, just because it talks about the importance of words and the importance of what you say, and just the implication of the author's of the opinion you can curse somebody without necessarily realizing that's what you're doing, because words are important. What you say is important. Your intent is important.
And that's actually pretty essential to a lot of forms of magic, is that words are important. Sometimes it's spoken word, sometimes it's written word. The entirety of Norse magic is based off of writing. Except for Odin's runes, which are... Runes are writing. When you're divining with Norse runes, you are effectively using Scrabble tiles. They are letters on tablets. That is... I'm not saying that there's no power to runes. I'm saying they are letters. The Norse believe that words have power. Thus, letters have power.
And in general, and this is true psychologically, not just paranormally, what you believe matters. There is an actual legitimate psychological phenomenon popularly known as voodoo death. If you believe you've been cursed, you can die. This is not opinion, this is something science has documented. The reality is you don't actually have to be cursed for this to happen. If you believe strongly enough you're going to die, your body starts to shut down.
Think of it this way. If any of you watching have anxiety, how many times have you made yourself sick? If you think that you're sick enough, you get sick.
Yes, absolutely.
This is just a very extreme version of that.
If any of you have ever, and I actually haven't, but if any of you have ever met an actual clinical hypochondriac, they will physically manifest symptoms of diseases they can't have, not just don't have.
Some kind of genetic disorder that would have manifested 30 years ago if they had it.
And is it found in their racial demographic? Or, weird rashes on command.
Or their sex. That just, no, you don't have the material for that. Not a thing.
But you have the symptoms. The mind is very... And the reverse is also true. Positive belief does impact your health. There is truth to the concept of mind over matter. People do blow it out of proportion.
To some degrees, yeah.
But what you believe very much defines your reality. Even psychiatrically speaking, what you believe is in some extent more important than what's actually real, objectively real.
Oh, yeah. You can do a lot by convincing yourself of it.
Yeah.
Once again, if you have anxiety or depression, you know that one firsthand.
I bet a lot of our listeners do, just because, let's face it, anxiety and depression are very common in the United States today.
Mm-hmm. That, and let's be honest, if you're watching this, you're probably one of the weird kids.
Yeah.
It's pretty common with us weird kids.
And that's another thing we need to get into all enough itself. And We'll touch on it heavily when we have The Exorcist on, but it is a personal soapbox for me, and I don't think you're going to argue with me about the importance of not blaming everything on demons. There are some Christians out there that will actually literally blame every social defect you have on demonic possession. Eating too much junk food, playing too many video games, homosexuality, various forms of addiction, depression. No! We're going to get into a lot. This is a rant all of itself. And we're keeping these videos shorter, so I'm not going to do it now. But no, absolutely not. If you have depression, there are chemical, scientific reasons for it that have nothing to do with the spirit world.
It can be tested in your blood.
Yes, absolutely. And it's very important. I'd be absolutely clear that when we talk about this, I believe in demonic possession. I've seen demonic possession. I've also seen mentally ill people, including a few that thought they were possessed, that weren't.
Correct me if I'm wrong, you cannot test for demonic possession with a blood sample.
No, you can't.
There we go.
There might we could ask Father Joe when we have him on, just in case I'm wrong, but I've never read of a blood test for demonic possession.
At that point in time,
there are a couple of good objective tests that you can run, most of which are very dangerous.
You know,
if they were.
If demonic possessions could be entirely accounted for in blood, I think we'd either reach a new level of science, or would have to reconsider some notions about religion.
It is an interesting question.
Right? Philosophical.
Yeah.
Deep.
Get free philosophy with your advice on paranormal self-defense. In general, yeah. The best advice I can give you, either of us can give you with this kind of thing, work on making your life and your home as positive and upbeat as you can. If you have a demonic spirit in your house, they thrive on hate and fear and all of the other negative emotions. Joy, happiness, honest laughter are anathema to them. So if you fill your house with those kinds of things, it's not going to want to be there. And if you don't have a demon, your life's going to be better anyway. So this is good advice.
Just do your best with what you got, and realize the good things that you got.
Yeah. And if you do have depression and anxiety, seek. There are treatment. There is a valid treatment out there that can help you. Seek it out.
Talk to someone.
Yes. Friends, family, pastors are wonderful noise.
Basically, best treatment for depression is do everything that depression tries to get you to not do.
Yeah. But I think we've covered the subject pretty well.
Yeah, we're probably going to edit out this end.
Yeah. Or at least shorten some of it.
Oh, yeah. No, we totally got like...
But I want to thank you all for watching. Have a great night, everyone.
See you next week.